we're taking the Chevelle for a ride, and Josh is at the controls here. And what do you think?
I got the cool October air flowing right through my hair, what's left of it. And feels pretty good. It's a solid car. It feels like it's kind of new almost. Like,
yeah. Hey, Mark Meldrum, Meldrum's Monster Garage, out here in the garage, and I thought I'd tell you the rest of the story on how I acquired this 72 Chevelle Convertible. And like all good Chevelle hunters, it comes from tips from families and friends and whatnot. So this is no different. Had a friend, Ralph Sonny Owens, and he contacted me over the summer, and we've been talking about an El Camino, and kind of went over an El Camino that he ended up purchasing. But then he's sitting around the campground, and Jim, his buddy, is sitting there with him and tells him this story about this 72 convertible his mom has had for a real long time. And she doesn't drive anymore, so they'd be interested in selling the cars. And thankfully, Ralph said, hey, let me give Mark a call. So he gave me a call, and turns out that, Ralph is in New York, and I believe he used to work for the Tonawanda engine factory. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's camping in New York talking to Jim, and they give me a call, and sure enough, we setting something up because Jim lives in Carrollton, Ohio, which is just south of Canton, and that's where the car was. Now, Jim talked to his mom, and they had talked about selling this Chevelle to raise some cash. She's getting older. She's 85 years old, and Shirley she's sharp as a tack. I got the chance to meet her and sit down with her. Darn it, I should have videotaped that because it was a great family meeting. We sat down at the kitchen table and worked the deal out, just like you see on Wayne Carnini. We don't talk about prices at Meldrum's Monster Garage, but we talk about the people, we talk about the stories, and I think that's just a great way to tell Chevelle hunter stories. And this car is no different. Shirley saw this car driving by. It was out front of somebody's house in Carrollton. And she told her husband, who was alive then, he passed away, Bill passed away in 2020. And she said, I really like that car. I'd really like to have that. And Bill went back and bought it. And she had it the next day in 1985. So pretty cool story. And she's had it since 1985. Hasn't really driven it a heck of a lot. I think they only put 3,000 miles on this car in the time they owned it. They like to take it out on a Sunday drive or parades or whatnot. So just a cool story. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the tag on this car and kind of talk about some of the history on the tag. Now, I've pulled my Dan Carr 68 to 72 A-body production totals out. Now, you guys know, this is just a statistically calculated poster. All the records that Chevrolet had on all these cars, you can't get build sheets for them. You can't find out what their true authenticity is because those records are gone. But Dan Carr was nice enough to put together a record and kind of statistically figure out how many of these cars are there. So let's go over that a little bit. All right. So I'm looking over here. You can look over my shoulder, but I'm looking at 72 production numbers. And for convertibles, they statistically know that they made 2,081. Now, anything in the green on this poster, that's a factual number. Anything in yellow is derived from statistics based on the number of maybe options or the number of engines available for that year. And anything in red is just kind of hypothetical. But I'll tell you, probably a pretty good number that they made as far as convertibles go. Let's see here. They made Malibu Sport without SS 2,081. And then if you come over here to the 354 barrel, it says they made 670. So pretty solid number, I think, there. If we're talking about my 1972 Chevelle Convertible with the 454, boy, the numbers go down drastically. And we like to say there was about 70 of those cars made. I've dug up 30 of them through talking to people over the last 10 years. But boy, you get down into the ZL, the Z15 option and the ZL2 Cowl induction, and you really get into some low numbers when it comes down to the convertibles. They think only 17 of those were made. And from what I've seen on the 454 convertibles, every one of the build sheets I've been able to get a hold of shows that they were customer ordered, so, which is kind of interesting. But I'm sure there's debunks to all these different things because it's all speculation now, just statistical values. But pretty rare cars still. Not as popular as the 1970 Chevelle Convertibles, mainly because horsepower figures were starting to come down drastically. I mean, from 71 to 72, they changed the way they rated these things also. So, really coming down. Compression on the motors were down to like 8.9 to 1. So, Josh and I took this out for a ride, and while it's a peppy car, it's no speed demon either, with a 273 rear end. But anyway, let's get into the cowl tag on this car. All right, I'll try to do my best Patrick Glenn Nichols here of explaining this trim tag. And of course, we start right off at the top of the tag, ST72, 1972 model year. 13667 would be a convertible body, and then the B stands for Baltimore, where the car was manufactured, and then the rest of the number is the Fisher body number for the body. The next line down would be TR trim 743, and this stands for white elk coat fabric. I don't know what elk coat means. Maybe somebody can tell me that, but it's definitely a white seat. And A52 means it's a bench seat. Okay, so A51 would be bucket seats. 75 is the color of the car. That's cranberry red. Okay, and then 06D would mean that it's made in the 4th week of June. So then there's a 4-digit code found next to that, and basically that can be found on the build sheet in block 24. Now, I haven't found the build sheet yet. I have looked in both door panels and I have looked under the seat, but I cannot find the build sheet yet. But we will continue to look for that. It could possibly be on top of the gas tank. All right, let's do a breakdown of the actual serial number of the car now. So you can see it starts with 1D. 1 would mean it's a Chevrolet. D would mean it's a Malibu and Concourse. And then, of course, 67 would be for the 2-door convertible. And then this is the first year they started to denote the engine size in the serial number. So what we have here is a J code, which means that was the L48 350 cubic inch 4-barrel engine that came with 175 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds of torque. And as you know, they basically changed the way they rated horsepower going from 1971 to 72. So that's why you see that. And then B or 2 would denote that it's 1972. B would denote that it is built in Baltimore. And then the rest of the numbers would be the serial number for the car. So there you go. There's a breakdown of that. This engine cost a whole $72 extra. And although it's not denoted in the serial number or the body tag, this car has the M38 Turbo 350 transmission, which would have cost you another $216. Now, like I say, I haven't found the build sheet yet, but we'll continue to look for that. And we'll also probably uncover the stamp on the engine pad. I'll have to basically remove some parts so I can see that, scrub that number up and look at it. But that's your breakdown, my best Patrick Glenn Nichols imitation. There you go. Of course, here's the small block. You can see it's a 354 barrel. Needs a good cleanup. Maybe we'll pull the motor out, get some new stuff on this, clean her all up. I tell you, I don't really have to do a tune-up on it. Man, it just runs fantastic. A lot of overspray from the repaint, but that's okay. You can see a little comparison here to the big block. Of course, I've got chrome valve covers on this. I shouldn't have chrome valve covers from the factory, but boy, I had so much trouble with the factory ones. They just leak. But most of this is pretty factory. So there you go. Enjoy.